Just one. So anyway, you're an elected Libertarian.
I am. I was elected to the Ocean View School District in Orange County. I'm currently serving as president.
Really? So how did that happen? What did you do to get elected out there?
Well, I've been running for the last at least 10 years for every single seat that I could get onto the ballot for. I got elected above all odds in 2006, filling in the remainder of a term that somebody left office in a bad way, a lot of controversy, and so I filled in that seat and was actually re-elected in 2008. I didn't even have to go to an election, actually, since no one opposed me. The election was canceled, and we saved taxpayers about $87,000 in election costs by not having the election.
That's good, and then Libertarians always want to save the taxpayers money. So what did you do to get your name out there in the community?
Well, I do what every politician has to do. You have to meet the public face to face, and I knocked on a lot of doors. I went to a lot of events, just talked to everybody, and that's key. You know, it's one thing to be on the ballot and not do anything, and it's another to actually work in the community, get involved, knock on doors, and actually offer solutions to the problems that we have. It's a lot of work. As a politician, it's a lot of work, but if we want to get elected to office, this is what we have to do.
And you also put up signs everywhere.
I did, actually hand-painted signs. I have a thing that I called sign harvesting, where I get the permission from candidates who currently have signs out, and at the end of the election, they've given me permission to take down their signs as long as I may keep them. And so I take them home, and then over the course of 2 years in between elections, I'll paint over the old names and paint my name on there, and it's a very cost-effective way of getting signs out there. Now I have literally hundreds and hundreds of signs, and when the next election comes up, I'm ready to go. I pull them out of storage, and I have signs, I have wire stands, I've got wooden stakes. I could go into the sign business if I wanted.
So these have been recycled. You basically
Absolutely, I'm the green
right,
Libertarian.
The green candidate.
I keep it from going to the landfill.
Now, you've also used your sense of humor here a little bit to get elected. Can you talk about that a little bit, what you've done that's been kind of piqued people's interest and been kind of funny? At first you used a nickname.
Right.
Firecracker.
One of the issues that I had that really got me into politics was fireworks. I wanted to re-legalize safe and sane fireworks, which is a crazy issue, and looking back on it now. But it got me motivated, it got me started, and because of this issue, my opponents started calling me Firecracker. And I knew it was good to have a nice long name on the ballot, and so I picked it up and ran with it, and it got me a lot of name recognition. Some of it was bad. I gotta be quite frank. You know, people say Firecracker. I'd never vote for a guy named Firecracker. Were you going to go blow up City Hall or something? And so I've had to live that down, but it did get me quite a bit of name recognition, and so it's a double-edged sword when you do that.
It got you out there.
It got me out there. People definitely recognize my name when they see it now, though. I can't tell you how many times I'll meet somebody and I'll say, "Hi, I'm Norm Westwell. I'm your school board president." They go, "Norm Westwell, Firecracker," and so they definitely remember that.
Well, there's no publicity. They say that there's no such thing as bad publicity, often. So maybe in politics sometimes, but also, you had some other tactics that you used? You used to go to the city council meetings, things like that, and speak?
I've been really involved. I've tried to speak on as many issues as I can. Getting out in front of the public is very important, and so I attended all of my meetings. If you want to be in politics, you need to get involved. You can't just show up the day before the election and say, "I'm a candidate, vote for me." People want to know, what have you done? What have you done for the community? And so they have to be able to see you out there working with the community and working in their behalf. Quite frankly, I can remember one time I went to a meeting at City Hall, and it was about some big contentious issue. Quite frankly, I don't remember which one it was now, but they had pushed it off all the way to the end of the agenda, and there was literally standing room only in the city council chambers. And as public comments comes up first on the agenda, and before the meeting got started, I asked people, who is here? Oh, it was the recreational vehicle ordinance that they were proposing. I said, who is here for the ordinance to speak tonight? Whether you're for it, against it, doesn't matter. If you're here for this particular issue, please raise your hand. And just about everybody raised their hand. And the people, the city officials, they couldn't quite figure out what I was doing, just before their public meeting, polling all these people. They didn't know what to make of it. But once the meeting got started and public comments came up, I went up to the lectern and I said, you guys are our elected officials. You want us to participate in our local government. We literally have hundreds of people here tonight, and I want to point out that you put this agenda item at the end of the agenda, and with the number of speakers here, this issue is not going to come up until probably 11:30 tonight, and most of these people are going to go home and they won't be able to participate in this discussion that's very important to them. So I said, knowing Robert's Rules of Order, I said, I suggest we change the orders of the day and move this to the very front of the agenda item so that we can participate in our local government. Oh, and I just got a rounding roar of applause. Here I was standing up for the people who really don't know anything about Robert's Rules, and they could see that, hey, here's a guy looking out for our best interest. And the city council, at the end of public comments, had a debate, and lo and behold, they moved it to the front of the agenda. And so here's the Libertarian working on their behalf. And I tell you, they recognize that.
Right.
And they remember.
And that's what matters. You have to get out there and get the votes one at a time. And they can see that Libertarians are common sense kind of people that they can relate to, rather than how they're painted often in the media.
Right, the tinfoil hat crazy guys. And so, you have to put on a good face, you have to dress nice, you have to do the part, say the right things, and act like your constituents act, and they take you seriously.
Right. So what are you doing now to get elected in Orange County to the city? I mean, it's in Orange County.
Right, I'm currently running.
Huntington Beach, a city in Orange County, Huntington Beach, which is in California.
Correct. I'm currently running for the city council. It'll be the 5th run at this race. I've never really done it seriously before. I've always been an activist. I never spent more than $100. This time I have a budget of $50,000. I've got my signs, like I said, are already complete, and so I won't have that expenditure. I'm getting started 20 months early before the election, so I'm getting a nice head start on everybody. And I'm trying to do everything that I can to get my name out there and show people that I'm active in the community, and I want to be their political representative.
And you've worked your way up from the local office.
Correct.
On the school board, so people know you've gotten known in the community, and now you're running for city council, where you can realistically raise money, realistically have a reputation of being someone that looks out for the interests of the people in your local neighborhood.
And I have a record to stand on now.
Right.
When I first got elected to the school board, I was opposed by the school district teachers. They thought I was going to come in with a machete and eviscerate the public school system. They were frightened to death. And I've been able to show them over the years that I'm a normal, rational person. We may disagree on certain things, but we're all going to disagree from time to time.
Right.
But I have the community at the heart. I consider the teachers' positions on things, and I take everything into account when we do our votes. And so they've learned that I am a rational person. A libertarian is not somebody to be afraid of.
No.
They're normal, rational people just like you and I. They just have different views on certain items. And so in my re-election campaign for 2008, I'm proud to say the teachers union actually supported me, a libertarian, for re-election. They were going to support me both financially, and the teachers were going to go out and walk precincts for me, which as far as I understand is almost unheard of in the Libertarian Party. And I don't want people to think that I've jumped ship and left, but I've worked really, really hard to win the hearts and minds of the people out there, and part of those were the teachers. And they understand that difficult decisions sometimes have to be made, and they're quite happy to have a rational person who can articulate these positions to them, even though we may not always agree on everything.
Right. And what is it that you've done? What were you able to do there on the city council? I mean, on the
school board? Well, not much. At a local level, there isn't a whole lot of things you can do. One thing I did do is vote against Teacher Appreciation Week one time, and I got a lot of flack for that. Looking at policy, my job as a school board trustee is we formulate policy more than anything else. We don't tell people what to do and bark orders and all that. It's come up with policy. So when the policies come before me, one of the things I try to do is make the policies smaller, not larger. We have a tendency to just keep growing these things bigger and bigger and bigger. And some of the books that I have a policy is, it's this thick. It's kind of overwhelming. And so rather than go with a pencil and try to create new policies, I go in with a eraser and I try to get rid of ones that I don't think are effective or we don't need or are duplicated someplace else.
So small reduction.
So one of the things that when I voted against Teacher Appreciation Week is years, they kept, everywhere I see public education, I try to convince my colleagues to change that to be government education, because I think it it better identifies what it really is. When you say
Right.
public education, it's kind of